Good morning, students. Today we'll talk about major landforms. First of all, we will talk about the work of running water. Okay? In other words, we can say the work of rivers. Alright? It is said that a stream of fresh water means any river, creek, canal, ditch, or other natural or artificial watercourse in which fresh water flows continuously or periodically by a natural channel and remains confined. Confined means limited to a particular location. Okay? With banks. And finally, where it flows? Finally, outflows into the sea or ocean or lake means any water bodies, isn't it? Is known as a river. Alright. Now next one. River is the most important geomorphic agent. Means it is a mobile medium. Running water, wind, currents, waves, etc. which removes, transports and deposits earth materials. Alright. So it creates a number of erosional and depositional landforms. Let's start from erosional landforms. Alright. First is our river valleys. River valleys are formed in the mountainous regions. Mountainous regions means the areas where many mountains are there and are a result of vertical erosion by rivers. Vertical erosion means downward erosion. The river valleys have steep slopes. Steep slopes means sharply angled. Second is our waterfall. Waterfalls are formed because of sudden breaks in the course of the river. Third is our meanders. When the river enters the plain areas, it twists and turns, forming large bends known as meanders. Fourth is our oxbow lake. In oxbow lake, what happens? The ends of the meander loop come closer and closer. In due course of time, the meander loop cuts off from the river and forms a cut-off lake known as Oxbow Lake. Okay. Next is depositional landforms. Among the depositional landforms, first is our floodplains. During the floods, the sediments spread over the plain area and forms a flat fertile floodplain. Okay. Second is our levees. The raised banks are called levees. Third is our delta. When the river flows, it carries fine sediments with it, isn't it? Now, these fine sediments are deposited at the mouth of another body of water and form a fan-shaped alluvial area which is called delta. After talking about the work of rivers, we will talk about the work of sea currents and waves. Okay? Students, the erosional and depositional work of the sea waves give birth to a different kind of coastal landforms. Let's start from the erosional landforms. Alright. First is our sea caves. Sea caves are formed due to the gradual erosion, means slowly over a long period of time, not of a sudden. Alright. So, sea caves are formed due to the regular erosion of weak and strongly joined rocks by sea waves. The regular strong waves dash the weak rock in the same place every time, then automatically one day the rock would have some crackings, isn't it? Then the sea waves continuously strike at the rocks. Then what will happen? The cracks will develop and over the period of time they would form cave-like structures, isn't it? These are called our sea caves. Okay. Second is our sea arches. after the formation of sea caves, if the same process is continued with the sea waves and the rocks, then what happens? Only the roof of the caves remain. This is how sea arches are formed. Alright. Third is our stacks. After the formation of the sea arches, if the same process is continued with the sea waves and the rocks, then what happens? The roof of the arches collapse and the rocks remain as a pillar, which are called stacks. Okay. Fourth is our sea cliff. The steep rocky coast rising vertically above seawater is known as sea cliff. Next is depositional landforms. Among the depositional landforms, first is our beaches. The sea waves deposit sediments along the shores to form beaches. Okay. Second is our bars and barriers. A bar is a natural formation of land that occurs when two water bodies meet and their currents oppose one another. It creates a raised area of land called a bar. Clear? Now barriers. Barriers are the natural occurring development or body of water that separates an area from others. Or we can say larger bars are called barriers. Okay. Now let's talk about the work of glaciers. What are glaciers? Glaciers are rivers of ice. Okay. The glaciers generally give birth to the erosional landforms in the highlands and to the depositional landforms in the lowland areas. Come to U-shaped valley. U-shaped valley is formed by the erosional of glaciers. As huge bodies of ice move down mountains, they carve valleys as they pass, carrying away giant boulders and huge amounts of debris. The force of the ice leaves behind a characteristic U shape in the land, which is known as U-shaped valley. Okay. Next is our moraines. Moraine is a material left behind a moving glacier. This material is usually soil and rock. Just as rivers carry along all sides of debris and silt that eventually builds up to form deltas, glaciers transport all sorts of dirt and boulders that build up to form moraines. Okay? Let's talk about the work of wind. Wind works as an active erosional agent in the desert areas. Wind is also an geomorphic agent of erosional and depositional landforms. Mushroom rocks. Mushroom rocks are formed due to the excessive erosional work of wind in the lower section of rock as compared to its upper part. It resembles the shape of a mushroom. Sand dunes. Sand dunes are created when the desert winds blow. They carry a lot of sand all around. When the wind stops blowing, the sand falls and gets deposited. Okay? Loess. Loess deposits are formed by the accumulation of wind-blown silt. These deposits are usually homogeneous and highly porous. Thank you.